Uriah the Hittite was a soldier in King David's army mentioned in the Second Book of Samuel. He was the husband of Bathsheba and was murdered by order of King David. Uriah's wife had become pregnant by King David in Uriah's absence. Although the king had ordered him to return home and see his wife, Uriah repeatedly refused to leave his post to leave the king's presence to see her. Contact between the couple would have hidden the source of her pregnancy. As a result of this murder, David was rebuked by the prophet Nathan. Furthermore, later turmoil in David's household and throughout the kingdom of Israel, including the death of Bathsheba's baby and the insurrection of Prince Absalom, was believed to be punishment for David's sins of adultery and murder. Biblical account. Based on the biblical account, Uriah was probably of the ethnic Hittite minority resident in Israel that had lived in and around the region, the land of Canaan, since before the time of Abraham. The Hebrews, upon their entry into Canaan, had been commanded to kill anything that breathes. In the cities of the nations the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, with the explanation that otherwise they will teach you to follow all the detestable things they do in worshipping the gods, and you will sin against the Lord your God. Even so, some of the earlier inhabitants were spared, in some cases for cooperating with the Hebrews, in other cases from failure to carry out the extermination order. The era of David's rule was many generations after this time, long enough for the original tumult and overwhelming emotional grief suffered by the survivors to have subsided, and by David's day, many residents of non-Israelite descent who followed the Israelite religion had come to be accepted as Israelites. It is likely this included Uriah, as his name in Hebrew means, "God is my light." In addition, his status as an officer in the army and as one of David's mighty men would indicate acceptance within the ethnic community. Actually, the Talmud states two opinions as to who Uriah was. 1. He was a convert to Judaism. 2. He lived amongst Hittites and so is known as a Hittite despite his being born Jewish. Either way, he was not actually part of the Hittite nation, since he would have been forbidden to marry Bathsheba had he been a Gentile. David's mighty men were a group of his best 37 fighters. Although the lists of his mighty men are given after David has become king, many of them may have been the loyal followers who stayed with him when he was fleeing King Saul. At the very least, they fought side by side with him. Uriah's closeness to David is illustrated by how closely he lived to the palace, and his position as one of the mighty men at the front battle lines allowed David to formulate and carry out his plot. David and Bathsheba. According to 2 Samuel, King David was tempted upon seeing Bathsheba bathe in her courtyard from the roof of his palace. He had her brought to his chambers and had sex with her, resulting in a pregnancy. Informed that her husband was Uriah, David summoned Uriah from battle to meet him, suggesting that he go home and wash his feet, meaning to spend time at home and attend to his wife. Uriah refused, claiming a code of honor with his fellow warriors while they were in battle. It was common for warriors in preparation for battle to abstain from sex, as a practice of discipline. After repeatedly refusing to see his wife Bathsheba, David sent Uriah to his commanding officer Joab with a letter that ordered Joab to put Uriah on the front lines of the battle and have the other soldiers move away from him so that he would be killed by enemy soldiers. Despite Uriah's status as one of David's mighty men, British Rabbi Jonathan Magnet observes that Uriah refers to Joab, not David, as "my lord." Joab is, Magnet notes, a kingmaker who dispatches ruthlessly his own military rivals, Abner and Amasa. He is sufficiently powerful that David, on his deathbed, advises Solomon to arrange his death. This prompts Magnet to speculate that David saw some deeper political threat from Joab through his entanglement with Uriah's wife. Nathan's prophecy. The prophet Nathan soon after confronted David about this murder, by first telling him a story of a rich man and a poor man. The rich man had many sheep, while the poor man had only one little ewe, whom he cared for greatly. A traveler approached the rich man for food, whereby the man took the poor man's ewe and dressed it to give to the traveler. Hearing this story, David grew angry and replied, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die. He must pay for that lamb 4 times over, because he did such a thing and had no pity." Nathan replied, "You're the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you, and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you the house of Israel and Judah, and if all this had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword will never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own." NIV. Nathan then informs David that his child with Bathsheba must die. Indeed, the first child dies after 7 days. David and Bathsheba later had a second son, the future King Solomon. Texts mentioning Uriah the Hittite. All references from the JPS translation unless otherwise stated. 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 8-23 to 39. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. 39. Uriah the Hittite, 30 and 7 in all. 1 Chronicles 11:10 to 11:41. These also of the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who strengthened themselves with him in his kingdom, and with all Israel, to make him king, according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. 41. Uriah the Hittite, Zabad the son of Ali. 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 3-11 to 4. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? 4. And David sent messengers, and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned into her house. 2 Samuel chapter 12 verse 9-12 to 10. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. 1 Kings chapter 15 verse 5. Because David did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Matthew chapter 1 verse 6. As the first husband of the mother of Solomon in the genealogy of Jesus. Film portrayals. Uriah is portrayed in U.S. movies David and Bathsheba by Kieran Moore, King David by James Lister and Mark Burnett, and Roma Downey's The Bible, the epic mini-series by Daffer Labadine.